All right, so we have a new episode of Legends and Leaders, and today it's great to have James here. James, you're the man, and you're one of the main people behind Rap Snacks. Rap Snacks is a pretty interesting product. I think it takes a lot of the culture that hip hop brings and puts some taste and some flavor behind it. And you've built this, for you mentioned 30 years or so into something that's really scaled a lot and provided a
Right.
lot of interesting new flavors and new tastes to the market. So I'm excited to have you here and to get into your story.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So how did your interest, James, in entrepreneurship and wanting to be in business in the snack space, how did this kind of begin?
I was always that kid, who was really interested in, different consumer products. I was also that kid that would go to mom and pop stores and buy, different bags of potato chips and test the flavors, put them all in one brown paper bag. And in my back of my mind, just thinking that I would, do something in the snack business one day because I really felt like, I love to snack and, felt like this is something that I could do, that I can enhance a marketplace that really was just making, regular flavors, barbecue, potato chips, sour cream and onion, and actually plain chips. So me going through all that process kind of helped develop my taste buds, but also what I wanted to do in the future.
Hmm. So you had this interest. How did you start to create your own products?
This was like kind of weird. Like one day I was just laying in bed and I was again the kind of kid that or guy that really always wanted to have my own business, but didn't really know what.
Hmm.
Right, and it just came to me. I love snacking, and I got one day and in the middle of the night, I wrote down, rap snacks, right? Because I loved the culture of hip hop and I love snacking. So putting both of those entities together, is what really, helped, rap snacks and evolve. And the next morning, I got up and I researched potato chip companies, and it was a company called Gibbles and Nibbles, who I called first, and a gentleman answered the phone. His name was Bob Fulner, and he was like a 65-year-old white guy that knew
Hmm.
nothing about rap, hip hop, and I kind of gave him my spill, and he said, "You know what, Jim? I don't know anything about hip hop, but what you said sounds good. Come see me tomorrow."
Huh.
And went to see him the next day. Gibbles and Nibbles was actually the first manufacturer, to produce wrap snacks. He told me, he said, you're going to need film, you're going to need seasoning, you're going to need a manufacturer. I'll be a manufacturer. You got to pay us up front for, all this until you prove this concept. So I'm thinking in the back of my head, I don't really have the money, but, I needed to kind of go and develop a business plan and present that to my friends and family. And I always tell people, I said, when you're trying to start a business, don't ever exclude your friends and family because you might have a cousin here that has money that you never knew about. You got your best friends are like, oh man, I got an extra $20,000 I can put into the business, and raise $40,000 initially in the business, and that's how I bought the film, the seasoning, and I paid for my first orders from Gibbles. And I used to sell Hall's golf drives, Trident and Gum. I was a regional manager for Warner Lambert. So my first distributor was actually one of my distributors I used to sell to for Warner Lambert. And he ordered 800 cases, the first
Wow.
order. And then about 2 hours, he was sold out of those two flavors. The first two flavors were barbecue with my honey, and it was back at the ranch. And the rest was history.
Hmm. So when you started out, did you have these rappers kind of part of what you were doing, or was it just like around rap culture? And how did you start to get these rappers involved?
No, it was actually around rap culture. I had this potato on my bag, but it was called MC Potato, right? And he had his hat backwards. It was MC Potato, and he had his turntables. Because you think about hip hop back in the day, it was really all about it was about the DJ. It wasn't really about the artist back then, right?
Mhm.
So, it transitioned from the DJ and MC Potato to the artist, later on down the road for the Rap Snacks brand.
Mhm. Why did you think rappers and like rap and chips and snacks would work as like a combination?
Well, I always felt like, music and snacking is the two favorite pastimes of our country. And combining both of them together, I felt like it would be something that people would really be interested in trying.
Hmm. And how did you design everything, like the packaging and the product to really be appealing to that?
Yeah, I just, had a guy who, drew, and I gave him my idea of, what I wanted, and they drew both of the bags, and actually, I have it on a poster. He drew it on a poster. I still have that poster. I have it in the frame, and sent it to an art guy who redrew it, and that was, the packaging, Rap Snacks packaging have evolved, you know, and we've changed the packaging 30 times because we have different phases in the brand, but that was the first phase.
Hmm. So, what do you think, James, were like the biggest points that helped you scale and kind of break through into retail? I mean, you mentioned you started building the product, but how did you start to get it out really much more out there?
Um, you know, I really feel like I'm really big on sampling, right?
Hmm.
So, you know, we were doing a lot of 25-cent bags of chip back then, right? So we were doing millions and millions of bags every week, which, as I think about it now, it really built my customer base, right? So, it was a treat. It was sampling, but we were making a little bit of money because you're not making a lot of money off 25-cent bags of chips. And it became popular because not only the concept was out the box, but what really helps facilitate our repeat business with Rap Snacks is the product is actually good, right? And they love the taste of the product. So we would have people like, "Oh, you don't have it here. I love the product, but I can't find it." It was more of a word of mouth that helped our distribution.
Hmm. And did you like intentionally try to create like marketing around getting people interested in this, even if they were outside the hip hop space? Like, how do you view that kind of category?
Yeah, you know, I think it's some with at the time of the hip hop music and what Rap Snacks is doing, I think we kind of follow the culture as it grew, right?
Hmm.
And as the culture grew and the hip hop culture, I mean, hip hop, artists became more popular. Rap Snacks in turn became more popular. So, it really, we were on something very early, but this business is a huge business. I mean, the people in the culture have been used to buying all these, you know, you got the Furlays of the world. You had Herbs back in Philadelphia. I mean, you have all these other brands, and they were used to buying that, but they wasn't used to buying anything that was a little different, right? And what really helps us is that we've been a fresh idea, an extension to the marketplace that was kind of boring, to be perfectly honest with
Hmm. Definitely. I think it was something entirely different. I mean, there really isn't anything like Rap Snacks even still in the market today. It's a very different
you.
category.
Absolutely. Yes.
So, now you mentioned like this space has evolved. There's these, now the artists are really prominent. How do you like think about like crafting a taste and putting a taste behind a signature like artist bag? Like, Snoop Dogg has his own kind of potato chips. How do you like put those together, a specific taste in an artist?
Well, I'll take Lil Baby for example. Lil Baby had a song called All In, right? And we had a flavor that we basically it's all these different flavors combined into one bag, right? And me understanding the culture of hip hop, because I've been in the business for a long time and been in the snack business, I was able to pull that all together. And our best selling item for Lil Baby is called All In, right? And it's this little clever way of saying this is like all dress type of flavor profile, but people are familiar with his All In song. but all in flavor. That was our biggest flavor. So that explains
Uh-huh.
it to you.
Uh-huh. So you just kind of look for like some of the things that stand out most for these artists and then create something around that.
Absolutely, absolutely, yes. And we want to make sure it fits their brand, and it's something that you know collectively for Rap Snacks in them is something that really helps facilitate, a lot more exposure outside just the music industry.
Mhm. And you've seen that that's kind of happened, that a lot of people have come in and buy rap snacks that aren't even, don't even know much about hip hop.
Absolutely, yeah. And even with streaming, and it's really all impressions. So Rap Snacks is really in that the artists are gaining impressions for
Mhm.
their brand just by being on our bag. There's been a lot of emails where they're like, "Oh, I didn't even know Lil Baby, but I
Huh.
love this flavor." So I
Huh.
associate that flavor with them.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that definitely helps you pitch these artists too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So what success have you had from like maybe a flavor or a product you've created that's been like surprising to you that maybe you didn't think would have been as successful, and why do you think that happened?
Well, I didn't, I thought the all in flavor was going to be big, but I didn't think it was going to be this big,
Uh,
right? And they have similar flavor profiles out there, but nothing like what we had. We added something extra, to
mm,
that flavor profile. So, I'm not a vinegar type guy,
uh-huh.
and that's one of the things I've learned about developing, flavor profiles for Rap Snacks, is that I don't really particularly have to be the finest of it, but I also understand that there's a market for every flavor out there, even if I personally don't feel like this is the best flavor that I like.
Hmm. And that's also like with Rick Ross with the sweet chili lemon pepper. I mean, that's a pretty interesting flavor too. Were you into that one?
Absolutely, yeah. Ross is known for lemon pepper, right? Lemon pepper wings. So we had to develop something around that would fit a potato chip. So sweet chili lemon pepper, is was right on brand for him
Mhm.
and for Rap Snacks.
Mhm. And how do you think about like structuring deals with these types of artists? Like, how do you properly incentivize them to want to be involved with you?
Yeah, I've done deals, for a lot of these artists, so I know how they tick. And you got to give them. You can't just pay them more money up front because they'll take the money and you won't get anything out of them.
Huh.
So my thought process is that let's develop a partnership. It's a 50-50 partnership, and give them incentivize them to really promote the brand. The more you promote it, the more you make, right? And that's true partnerships, and that's been very successful for us.
Hmm. And you've seen like which artists have you seen that kind of work best with?
Majority of them,
Hmm.
yeah, majority of them. I mean, again, you know, it, the artists, they love them. They want money. they love they love to be paid pretty well. So once they start seeing that this is a real thing, because you got to understand, they're pitched all kind of deals. Some that
Hmm.
make sense, and some does absolutely don't make sense, right? And so once they're on a potato chip bag, because a lot of them it's new to them, they don't know where the revenue's coming from. You can give them projections, but really, when it comes in and you're like, oh, you're going to make X amount of dollars, from here to here to there, and it really, comes to fruition, then they're like, wow, okay, let me go harder. Now I might be able to make more money. And that's what I like. I mean, it's a partnership.
Hmm. I mean, you've got a good track record too. I mean, you've done this with so many artists at this point, so it shouldn't be that
Absolutely.
complicated to sell.
No, it's not. But every artist is different, man. Trust me. And
Do
every
you like?
artist exposure is different. So some guys have never done any business. They just came off the street and start rapping.
Mhm,
So you got to educate them.
mhm. Do you like also try to scout talent early?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Oh yeah. We definitely are looking at a lot of different people, and we have a brand called We Got Next. for rap snacks that we're developing. That'll be for artists that are bubbling, right,
Yeah.
and probably a little more regional. And then we'll uplift them to the regular bag. And eventually, it's like a record company does. They'll have a major label and then they have some sub labels, and we're looking at that process.
You think there's enough of a market there that there's a lot of these because there's a ton of up and coming artists.
Oh yeah, and it's all about this. It's all about the distribution. We have distributors in every city in the country. So we have an advantage over some of these guys that don't, and we can go in and out with some items. But we have to believe in them.
Hmm. So what do you want to accomplish now? Like, what would you say are some of like your short term, long term goals? Like, where do you see Rap Snacks going? Where do you see kind of yourself going?
Well, right now we're looking at a global distribution for Rap Snacks. We're starting end of this month. We'll be starting our distribution in Spain. We have a manufacturer who is going to be manufacturing in Spain, and we'll be all throughout Europe. The next move will be Africa. We're looking at that. We're already in Canada. We're in all the Loblaw stores in Canada. We have a distributor in Canada. So it's really expanding our brand. We're coming out the next 30 days. We're coming out with cotton candy. We're coming out with honey buns, which has been a big thing. It's been so viral. We're looking to do in a honey bun market and the baked goods market like we did in Rap Snacks. We're going to develop all these different flavor profiles that nobody's ever done. We have a birthday cake honey bun, right? We have a lemon honey bun, strawberry honey bun, and people are just tired of the boring stuff. We're going to bring some excitement and life to that marketplace, and culturally, the honey bun is connected to the hip hop culture, man. It's just like an icon type of product, and all you see is the little plain honey buns out here. And the next 30 to 60 days, that's going to change.
Huh. Wasn't aware it's so connected to hip hop culture.
Oh yes, very, very connected. Very connected. Let me show you this right here. This is the pack of the honey buns right here.
Oh wow, that's definitely a different take.
Yeah.
It almost looks like candy.
Yeah, it tastes like, man. It tastes like, and the texture of it is a little different. It tastes like almost like a cake honey bun, if you can imagine it. It's not spongy, and it just melts in your mouth type of thing.
So 30 years into, you've still got a lot of energy for this.
Man, I always tell people, man, they're like, well, what kind of advice can you give me? And my advice is that if you love what you do, man, you can get up every morning and do it forever because you love this business. I love the business. I love the snacking business. I love that, we're able to bring, something new and innovative to the marketplace that keeps you, really, it's like every morning you're like, yeah, the idea is just coming because it's everything out here is traditional. And what Rap Snacks isn't is traditional.
Mm-hmm. And you're manufacturing now yourself. Like, how do you manufacture all this?
Yes, yeah. So we have manufacturers, like 12 manufacturers in the country that manufactures our products. And we have one in Canada and we have one in Spain that we just opened up. So yeah, we definitely are manufacturing our own goods.
Right. And you like to manufacture where it is, basically, where you're going to sell.
Absolutely, yes, yes.
Much cheaper. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if you had to you mentioned some of like what you're planning to release, but if you had to put into perspective like where you think Rap Snacks will be in the next 5 to 10 years, where you think it'll be, then what do you think that vision kind of looks like the long-term vision for Rap Snacks?
I just think it'll be the most culturally relevant brand, in the consumer industry. It's we're in that stage now where the brand is revolving and it's a famous name, and we're monetizing the brand in different categories. You don't see any of my competitors doing honey buns. You don't see them doing cotton candy because that's not their lane. we can monetize Rap Snacks, and anything that you go to the consumer, you go into a convenience store in any category that you see, Rap Snacks can be part of that category. So when I say culturally relevant, I'm saying that Rap Snacks is going to be potato chips. It's going to be, honey buns. It's going to be cotton candy. It's going to be candy. It's going to be all kind of things. We actually have a gummy gummy item coming out where we actually made the gummies look like the artists.
Wow. That's exciting.
Yeah, very exciting.
Well, that's all the questions that I had. Appreciate you
Sure.
taking the time to do this. I think what you built is pretty impressive, and that you've been consistent for 30 years. It's a long time. And
Appreciate
I'm excited to see what you'll take it next.
I appreciate you for having me.